with your questions here. I've got a laundry list I'm just going to rattle off, but I
Yeah,
certainly
no, I
want to
mean,
make sure you're getting your
I'll
information.
chime in. I'll chime in a little bit about that question as well, because I think what you're asking is like, all right, is it going to be better to mine it or is it going to be better to buy it? And that's where it's like you can't really know that until the information's in front of you. So
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you have to look at, and the tools on the TitanX website are fantastic. So you can go and you can look, all right, if I do a 1-day miner, it's not profitable. Okay, so then it's probably, that's telling you something. If I do it for a week and it's profitable, okay, well, that's telling me something there too. But the thing is like people got to understand. I think the market cap right now of TitanX is like 5 million or something like that. Like it's insanely small, so it's going to be very volatile. All you need is like one or two whales to just play around in this. And where it gets really interesting for me is if people got in early to this, right? Because and I still think you're insanely early at the time of this recording. The fact that you have like I think it's 9% early adoption and you're like on day 30, you're still way early on this, truthfully. What is interesting to me is that if you get a position, like I feel like I have a position in this, right? I did all my miners like in one day. I did a ladder. I did like my own little theory on this, but now I have my position. And what's interesting is I'm going to be claiming these. When I actually start to claim my miners, I'm going to be second guessing and start thinking to myself, do I want to sell this? And here's the reason why. Because you can't, like Jake was saying, you can't just go back to day one and that chart that you showed before where it's like 8 million, 7 million, you can't go back there anymore. So
Right.
you're really thinking to yourself, if I let this go now, I can't just mine this again at that price point ever again. So that's really interesting to me. And I think that the speed of which this is all happening is what's making this even more exciting for people. And then when you're looking at the floor, right, you have to look at like, all right, well, where's the price at today? Mining versus actually buying it on the market. Well, we're buying it on the market, not financial advice would make sense, is dependent upon can I mine this at the cost or below, right? So like if it's, and again, you have to look at those numbers and do those things, but if TitanX is reaching new all-time highs, right, if you mine it out for like 100 days, you're going to get way more by actually mining it, right? But if the price is really, really low because some whale or whoever it is just decided to let go of their positions, then yeah, it might be a really intriguing time to actually take some off the market. What's really interesting to me about this whole thing is the staking aspect of it, because you have to lock it for a minimum of 28 days. And a majority of people are doing that because they're like, well, what else do I do with this? So they stake it. And the reason why I think that there's been so much staking is because of the potential of hyper, and because you're going to be able to take those stakes and then get hyper for it. So if you're going to buy this and just hold on to it, you might as well stake it, earn ETH, and then potentially get rid of it for hyper if that's your plan. If you want to get hyper, it's basically you're front running hyper, right? In my mind, it's like you're kind of doing that by playing that game theory plus earning ETH. So just my thought process there in general. But it's hard to tell to know those exact things as they're happening in real time. But what's really interesting is I've seen, my first intuition was this is going to do something very similar to Zen. It's going to make these ups and then it's going to go down lower, up and
My
it's going to go
thoughts.
lower, 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 and just keep stair stepping down.
Yep.
We've seen it a little bit, but there's been a floor now. I don't know if you can bring up the chart of TitanX right now, but there's been like this floor that's been set. And the crazy thing is this has actually been going back like into an uptrend, which shows me that either the buy and burn is greater or people are just really staking this out and they're really hoping for hyper and they don't really care about the day-to-day fluctuations of this. And or two, the people just aren't mining it because they're not even aware to mine it yet, right? And then again, like we'll fast forward the clock a month or two from now, you can't get as much TitanX. You just can't get it. And the people that were dumping it on the very first few days, billions of it, are going to be like, I should have staked it or I should have done something different with it. And like there's some whale, I think, Jake, you said he bought like 80 or something Ethereum, got like a huge position, staked it out and like ROI'd within like a day or two. Now, I don't know if that opportunity exists anymore, but that TitanX, right, is pretty much off the market for the next 3,200 or 300 days or whatever it might be. That's a long, long time, right? And if that actor's plan then is to, burn it for hyper, I mean, yeah, that's a huge amount of supply that's like absolutely gone. So, yeah, the chart is interesting to me because, yeah, I mean, for like it looks fantastic. And